ECW Wrestling Talk here. Middle of the week here, Wednesday, coming after Monday Night Raw. Last string of shows here before Payback this coming Sunday. And, the card is mostly set now, it seems. Before I really get into the main idea of this show, you got the Shield now, and the Tag Team Championships with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins on the line against, this time, Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. And they're gonna have Kane face Ambrose for the U.S. title. I guess they felt, part of this, whole dissension of Team Hell No and everything. I guess part of this might be a Randy Orton heel turn that everybody's hoping, happens soon. It seems they've been talking about it for months now and just been pushing it back for months now. And, last Friday on SmackDown, Randy Orton, out of frustration, RKO'd Daniel Bryan. So, it may be some foreshadowing that he's going to actually turn heel. It might not be, as we've seen in the past. He's done stuff like this, and then it never really resulted in a heel turn anyways. So it could just be a matter of time. We don't know whether he turns heel or not. But he's bound to. They're bound not to win against Rollins and Reigns at Payback. Given the and same with Ambrose. Same with Kane. Not bound to beat Ambrose. As right now it's I'm pretty sure the way they slapped the titles on the Shield last month. I don't think they are thinking about having them drop the titles anytime soon, or at least not this soon. If not, from a few months or so from now. You got good tag team champions right now. Just got the titles essentially, and although the U.S. title I think is a little beneath Ambrose, I don't think they're gonna have him drop it too soon. If anything I can take out of that is that, even with Kane kind of stepping down, which he has a history of doing for the company, stepping down a little bit and fighting for a less a smaller title, I guess you could say, in terms of value and power. I guess at least it might elevate the title a little bit, as far as the U.S. Championship goes. So, and they already have a couple other big main events that are going on anyways. So, for now I think that's all in well, as far as the Shield and that whole story goes. Now, I can't ignore the fact that, people in recent weeks, they've, that group of guys, the Shield and, Kane, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and to some degree Sheamus, who's not really in that picture anymore, but they've been having a rather interesting series of matches between those guys, with variations. And this past Monday on Raw, Rollins and Daniel Bryan, obviously they had a great match, that could have easily been main event worthy on Raw. And it was an action-packed Raw this past Monday night. There were a lot of matches, and not too much not too much emphasis on promos. There's a lot of matches, which the Raw before a pay-per-view show is a little uncharacteristic at times, but normally they don't have normally they don't focus a whole lot on matches, and the matches they're normally kind of pointless scrap matches anyways. But it was a little different on Raw this week, I thought. I mean, they seem to have a lot of emphasis on these matches. Reigns taking on Randy Orton, Ambrose taking on Kane. There were a lot of matches here, and can't complain about that. Especially when the Shield are the Shield, and Daniel Bryan is on fire lately. I can't help but notice the immense crowd reaction that Daniel Bryan has been getting in recent weeks. But now people are saying, though, this is where I kind of connect with my main theme of this episode. People are already saying now that Daniel Bryan against John Cena for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and some throw CM Punk in there as well, like a triple threat match. And that's great. I don't have a problem with them, perhaps pushing Daniel Bryan to the main event level again. He should be a main eventer. But the thing is, a lot of people are saying Daniel Bryan against John Cena at SummerSlam, which would, be for the WWE Championship, of course. And in all this, I'm thinking, wait a minute, let's not forget about Ryback here. Now, people are going to say what they want. They're going to say, oh, Daniel Bryan is the best performer in WWE. Ryback's this and that, and, and for whatever reason, they just seem to, they hate on Ryback. They don't even give him a chance. Again, no doubt, Daniel Bryan should be in the main event picture again, soon. And against the Shield right now, I mean, collectively, it's like they're main eventers. Although individually, I mean, when you're holding the U.S. title, you're not quite treated as a main eventer individually, but collectively, for all intents and purposes, they're like a main event unit to me. And they should be. They have main event potential. But the thing is, it seems like a lot of people are just assuming, you know, that, oh, well, John Cena's going to hold on to the title, and they can then forget about Ryback, and then have Daniel Bryan come in at SummerSlam and face John Cena for the title. And, you know, that could be good. I mean, I don't know, but I understand why everyone's just, like, kind of overlooking Ryback. No, the guy is dedicated, you know, but it seems like ever since he turned heel, and, you know, the Phoebe Moore chants aren't around anymore, you know, WWE took a bit of a risk, maybe, perhaps doing that, but it seems like everybody's, like, doesn't care about Ryback, and I don't understand why. He's shown improvement on the mic. You know, I'm trying to analyze whether or not, you know, I'm trying to be fair about this, too. Because, I mean, the way, you know, some people seem to be just kind of forgetting about Ryback, and, oh, let's have Daniel Bryan against John Cena, you know, as if John Cena's just going to walk in and win it, you know, defend his championship again. I think that's unfortunate, because it's just almost a lot of people believe that, oh, well, you know, it's John Cena, he's going to win. That's a problem to me. I want it to be, like, you know, more of a toss-up. That's the way I kind of look at it. It seems like everyone, like, knows that John Cena's just going to win this, and I'm trying to, you know, convince myself that's not, is not what's going to happen. Because, I mean, let's face it, this could be a make-or-break match for Ryback, whether he wins or not. Not how he performs, whether he wins it or not. And I think, you know, I think he's shown enough to me. With his mic skills are decent enough. They don't have to be second to none, but to me they're good enough. His wrestling style, you know, good enough. It's his own Ryback style. He can improve along the way. I mean, obviously he's got the physique, and to me, I'm ready to see a new guy. I'm ready to see Ryback be WWE champion. I think, you know, once he would have the championship, people would take him more seriously, because the bottom line, they've seen the past where Ryback has won, or he's lost at numerous pay-per-views, which is, you know, another factor in this that WWE has to consider, you know, if they think they're going to have Ryback lose. I mean, if you have Ryback lose this, I mean, sure, he can get pinned in the first segment with the Lumberjacks, but if he just loses this and John Cena walks out, you know, once again into the sunset and becomes WWE champion, you know, remains WWE champion, and Ryback has lost again, and I just don't think that would. I just think essentially Ryback, his career could be, you know, half down the tubes at that point.
I agree.
Any idea of him being a main eventer at that point, I just don't know how over that would be. I mean, you can only have a guy have so many chances up in the main event picture and have him lose so much that, you know, whether it be in cheap ways or whatnot, you know, it's got to stop. That's the bottom line. Ryback can be the future. Daniel Bryan can also be the future too. But the focus right now, I have thought, in recent months, the idea has been to get Ryback to that main event level that he can stay at. You know, they turned him heel, they took a bit of a risk, but, I mean, here we are. This is 3 stages of hell. This is a big opportunity that WWE could either screw up or take advantage of. I don't see anything really holding him back, other than maybe, you know, smart internet fans who want to chant Goldberg for whatever, you know, and this is coming from a guy who, you know, enjoyed Goldberg's style rather, you know, thoroughly, his intensity, but this is a different breed, and people got to understand that. You can't just, you know, slap these chants on a guy. You know, if you want to give a guy a fair chance to get over in this company and get a fair opportunity, you gotta let him do that. You know, it's not like he has some silly gimmick like Fandango or anything. So I don't understand why people want to complain so much sometimes about Ryback. To me, it's just it's a make or break opportunity. And the thing is, you could have Ryback be WWE champion, and then maybe at SummerSlam, since Ryback's a heel and you keep Daniel Bryan a babyface, and Daniel Bryan could face Ryback at SummerSlam, and that could be rather interesting, you know, as well. And down the road, maybe Cena's in a different state of character. I don't know. He could still face Daniel Bryan, and believe me, they can do that. Daniel Bryan, they can have him face a heel CM Punk again. There's options with Daniel Bryan, but you know, and Cena has done pretty much, you know, all there is, other than maybe challenge the Undertaker's streak. So, you know, we gotta get these newer guys involved and cemented in the main event picture. And if you have Ryback lose, and then what do you do with him? You know, then he's essentially had so many opportunities for the WWE Championship, and he failed. Kind of like the John Cena promo, like, you know, Ryback keeps blaming others and whatnot. Well, if that's how you're going to make it seem, then you can't have Ryback lose yet again. And, you know, or else, he's, you know, essentially the idea of him being a main eventer could just be down the tubes at this point. So you gotta have Ryback take advantage here. And if you don't, then, you know, I don't know what, I don't know how much you have to make Cena look good, how much you have to have him win, how many people you have to have him beat, that could, you know, essentially get elevated into that main event picture. So, you know, there's all this stuff about protecting John Cena and you know, and it's, you know, you can protect him to some degree, I guess, with this 3 Stages of Hell match, but, I mean, you gotta give Ryback a win here. A big opportunity. And, you know, I don't think it would flop, but if he flopped as WWE Champion, you know, he's a heel, a monster heel, that they, you know, then, you know, there's always other options, but I don't see, for a company that needs to move forward, I don't see what, you know, why WWE could be so hesitant to have Ryback be WWE Champion. Albeit, you know, over a guy like John Cena. Some argue that, oh, well, they want to sell more copies of, you know, the replica belts with, you know, this new belt with John Cena's, you know, custom side plates and all. And, are you kidding me? Yeah, get out. I don't think that, listen, whether or not Cena's champion, I'm sure they'll still sell the same, you know, they'll sell those replica belts with John Cena's side plates on them. They can, with Ryback's, they may end up selling some of his own. When The Rock had the title, whether, you know, or not he's still champion, to me it doesn't matter. Because, you know, people are always going to be rooting for that guy anyways, for John Cena. Like the Rated R Superstar belts. They weren't around for very long, but people still bought them. I've seen them when, you know, the mall has had sales and stuff. They still have them. People still buy those every now and then. Maybe not, you know, as much of it, but they'll still buy the John Cena belts. Whatever, even if he doesn't have them. Because people are going to be rooting for him to get it back anyways. You know, his fans. The shirts, they'll buy them. I mean, come on. The 10 shirts that he sports to the ring nowadays. At least it feels like that many. I mean, that whole explanation is like, oh, well, they got to keep the title on him to sell his merchandise. And, you know, that's probably what they're going to do. They're going to be, you know, they'll sell whatever, you know, John Cena merchandise they want to cram down our throats. That's the bottom line there.
I agree.
It doesn't matter whether he's champion. It doesn't. If he comes out to the ring and he wears it or whatever, people are going to be silly and they're going to buy it. And then they're going to come up with a new John Cena T-shirt anyways, and a new John Cena product, like they do every other 2 weeks, and people are going to buy it. So, you know, in this, I mean, I hate that it has to be about merchandise too. Why can't it just be about, oh, well, this match, let's get a new guy, let's get Ryback, a guy who can really be a big player in the future here, and, you know, why can't it be about that? Why can't it be, all right, let's do what's best as we move forward here. Let's get a new legitimate guy that we can believe, you know, that people can believe in, whether he's a face or a heel. And, you know, and then the same can be done with Daniel Bryan. He, you know, whether he wins the championship or not, down the road, he can take the title from Ryback. I'd enjoy that. You know, Daniel Bryan, he's got, obviously, we know what he can do. We know he can be a good main eventer. We know that the fans, will put him over, as they have in recent weeks. So, you know, we know that. Ryback, we need to get him cemented in that main event spot, because, you know, he hasn't really yet. And that's the thing. And over John Cena, there you go. So, you know, that's what I'm looking at right now. And for Payback, that's really what I'm going to be rooting for. I'm going to be rooting for Ryback. Just like I was at Extreme Rules. Even though, you know, I wasn't surprised by the kind of finish they had, but because, you know, this is you have Ryback get the championship, then, you know, essentially the future becomes the now. And, you know, it could be a good future. But that's what I'm looking at. Whereas John Cena, to me, as stale as he's been now for years, it's like he's the past that's continued to be the present. And again, as I just said, I want the future that could, you know, really, that could bring some good things here to WWE. I want the future to become the present. Now, I'm getting tired of having the past continue to be the present, the way I look at it. So, with that in mind, thank you for tuning in this edition of TW Wrestling Talk. After Payback, obviously I'll discuss the results and, you know, odds and ends of the pay-per-view. I'm hoping, you know, it goes well. Obviously, my main emphasis is on this match that I just talked about with John Cena and Ryback, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on. Also, I dropped a video recently, you know, a few days ago, well, almost a week ago at this point, you know, where you can actually physically see me, you know, unlike this, but I'd love if I'm going to try to remember to drop the link to that video, to the page of that video, in this when I post this video right here that you've tuned into, and then I'd love if I'd really appreciate if you could go to that page and just like at the bottom, near where the comments are and whatnot. It'd be great. I mean, you don't have to, but there's an easy way to like registrate so that you can post a comment at the bottom, and that'd be great too. I mean, that might sound like it's asking too much, but I would really appreciate that kind of support from you guys. As I'd love to get a show on 97.5 The Fanatic, even if it's a once a week deal at that point. But that's what I'm going to school for, anyways. So, but to maybe get a literal jump start on a career like that, would be great. So I would appreciate that kind of support from you guys. And I appreciate the support of you tuning in to TW Wrestling Talk, TW Sports Talk if you do, as always. Thanks for that. And cheers until after Payback.